Hey everyone, and welcome back to Wonderful Colors, the podcast where we explore the world through the lens of art, light, and actual lenses today. I'm your host, Bhargav Murthy, and I'm super excited about this episode because it's all about camera lenses, the eye of photography. Whether you're capturing portraits, landscapes, or squirrels jumping in midair, the lens makes all the differences. And joining me today is my good friend Colin. Welcome to the podcast. Before we start, I just have a simple question. How long have you been doing photography?
I've been doing photography for about 3 years now. At first, it started as just kind of like a hobby, but it's definitely developed into something I'm very, very interested in.
Understood. When did you start having the hobby of doing photography?
So 3 years ago, that was back when I was, this was like my freshman year of college. Mm-hmm. I moved into a new apartment and I started taking photos of the stuff that I found around the apartment. And that sort of developed into some more, I guess, professional photography.
Good to know. So let's move on to the lenses. First, we're starting off with the prime lenses. These bad boys have a fixed focal length. Colin, what do you think that makes them popular?
So here's the magic. Prime lenses, like the 50mm or the 35mm, are sharp, light, and usually have a wide aperture. We're talking like f1.8 or lower. That means creamy backgrounds, low light magic, and a really crisp subject. So it's great for portraits or like street photography.
Understood, totally. And there's something about shooting with a prime that forces you to move, using different angles, the way that you shoot the shot, or maybe the object that you're trying to capture, the way that you're trying to shoot it, whatever. But to think more about the composition. Now on the flip side, we got zoom lenses. What do you think about these lenses?
Yeah, they're like the shapeshifters. Zoom lenses, they're like the 24 to 70mm or the 70 to 200mm. They let you cover a range without changing lenses. They're perfect for like weddings, wildlife, really any kind of event. Basically anything where you need flexibility fast.
Understood. Okay then, now we're moving on to the specialty lenses. For example, like the macro lens. I once used this to shoot a dewdrop on a spider's web and ended up with a photo that looked totally like a little tiny planet in a different universe.
Yeah, but macro is next level, man. You can get crazy detail. Like textures of petals, insect eyes, or even like tiny text on a coin. It's almost like shrinking yourself down into a tiny secret world.
I actually have a good experience with that. Like before, I still remember when I was in high school, we had to do like magazine shots for like different types of bugs or like water droplets. I still remember the first lens that I ever used was a 777 Artisan lens for a Lumix GH5. And that lens I had a bit of trouble with because it was a manual lens and I was used to an automatic. And usually when I use automatic, I always keep the lens on the automatic settings where it sets up the aperture, the ISO and everything for you. But here's the actual point about macro lenses. You want them in manual so you can set them by yourself. Just know that when you're taking photography, right? Shooting with the manual settings is always the goal one.
It's very true.
Either way, let's keep moving on. Alright then, for the time being, we're talking about wide angle lenses.
They're perfect for landscapes, architecture, or just making a small room look almost like a mansion. The 16 to 35 millimeter range gives you that immersive feel. Kind of makes the listener feel inside the photo. But beware the distortion. Don't use it too close to someone's face, especially unless you want to make their nose look like a balloon.
Talking about that, I actually learned this lesson the hard way at a family reunion. I still remember in 2022 when I was like invited to my high school classmate's wedding. And trust me, like that was the worst experience that I ever had. I usually go out with a 50 or a 25 because I usually do portraits and group photos. And I still remember in this wedding, my friend already had 3 kids, and there's 2 twins. I mean, 1 twins and one girl, and the twins are boys. And these 2 kids were really naughty because like my friend got married when these 3 kids were 3 years old. Actually, my fault. And the girl was 2 years old at this point. And 2-year-olds, you know how you gotta deal with them when you're trying to take a shot of them, right? They keep moving around, making the place lively, actually. But either way, like that was the reunion that I would never go back to, and that was the time that made me stop doing wedding photography.
Is that because of the fisheye lens?
I mean, not the fisheye. I'm talking about the wide angle.
Oh, the wide angle.
The fisheye, I usually use it for like, for example, when they're doing how do I say it? If I'm trying to do the video more creative while they're serving food, I use it usually to like zoom up on foods. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But either way, now you can talk about your personal experience using a wide angle lens.
Yeah, so wide angle lenses, I've used them to photograph wildlife quite a bit. I love photographing wildlife. I go around my apartment a lot, and I just take pictures of like different birds and stuff like that. And wide angle lenses are perfect for that because it really it shows a lot of detail, so which is what I'm looking for.
Understood. What you gotta talk about telephoto lenses?
Oh yeah, then there's telephoto lenses, the stalkers of the lens world.
I mean, talking about telephoto lenses, these are the lenses that I was telling you about. These are really good for wildlife. Because think about it, when you're up on the mountains, if you're trying to get a shot of a mountain lion or some wild animal, you need that 4-range lens, you know?
Absolutely.
So to zoom in, I would go with the telephoto lens. But either way, the 85mm to 600mm lenses that let you capture wildlife from a mile away or snap the concert shot without leaving your seat, that's the way to go. Because I'm not trying to have no, chopped up human beings walking around everywhere. But
the telephoto lens, they compress the background too. It makes your subject pop and almost look like a movie still. It's almost cinematic.
I get that. And there's another story. So there's a time when I went to, the Brooklyn Zoo? Is that what you call it?
Yeah, are you talking about the Central Park Zoo? Or?
Yeah, the Central Park Zoo. That was the zoo that I first went to. And this is when I was like 8 years old, right? So I went with the whole family, and my uncle, who's a photographer, usually bought in 100mm, a 75 to 100mm camera lens with him. And this time I'm talking about like Fuji film cameras. These cameras came out in like 2001. And I still remember trying to hold this camera, but my body couldn't handle it. So
heavy.
Yeah, so these lenses got to be children friendly. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Keep it away from children. Lenses could be really expensive. For example, just for that 75 to 100mm, do you know how much it will cost?
How much?
I mean, based off my experience, I would say like about 2 to 3K right off the bat.
Gonna need to save up some money for that.
Totally. But moving on, we're giving a final lens shout out, which is a tilt shift lens. Rare and pricey, but they let you control the perspective. Great for architecture or making cityscape look like a tiny model town.
Miniature world vibes. Also super nerdy, but cool.
Yeah, one of those little toys that you get for Christmas.
Yeah.
That little water ball with all those little props in there with that little snowman, the buildings and everything.
Yeah, snow globe.
Yeah, that's the image that you should get when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
talking about tilt shift lenses.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So far, our listeners, if you're just starting out, don't stress. A good 50 prime can take you so far. Know what the story you want to shoot and pick up the lens that helps tell it the best.
And remember, gear is great, but vision is better. Your eyes matter more than your equipment.
Understood. Please do. And to everyone listening, keep shooting, keep experimenting, and keep finding beauty in the lenses you look through. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on Instagram, Wonderful Colors Podcast. Until next time, keep your eyes up and your shutters ready. Thank you for being here, Colin. Have a nice day.
Anytime.